Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Ms. Malakome. Good morning, members and colleagues.
I just want to check my background if it's fine. Can you help me with that?
Please switch on your camera, Ms. Malakome.
Okay. It's gone. Can you see that?
No.
We'll now go on to the agenda. Item number 4 is the consideration of the minutes of the 5th of June. Honorable colleagues, the minutes were circulated, and I hope that all honorable members have had a look at those minutes and are in a position to interact with those minutes. There was also the draft minutes action items that were also sent, and I would like to go through those action items first before we go to any other matters arising from those minutes. I see number 6, consideration of the draft parliamentary program. The action required was a consideration of the reports of the joint committees on ethics and members' interests. And that, then the other one was the debate on the Youth Day that was done. The plenary consideration of the reports of the Select Committee on Finance, on Fiscal Framework and Revenue Proposals, that was done. The Youth Parliament was done on the 13th of June. And 17th of June, the plenary questions to the Cluster 1D, Peace and Security, that was also done. And 24th of June, questions to Cluster 1E, Peace and Security, done. 25th of June, questions to the President, that was done yesterday. So all of those matters have been actioned. Honorable members, if there are no comments on those items, I will now open up to the honorable members if there are any other items from the minutes that were omitted in that summary report. Honorable members, over to you. I see the hand of Honorable Mananiso. Honorable Mananiso.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chair.
Followed by Honorable Hadebe.
Thank you,
Yes, go ahead,
Deputy
Honorable
Chair,
Mananiso.
and good morning to all members on the platform. Chair, one would want to adopt the minutes as a true reflection of the meeting, with just an omission that I've seen that the minutes have indicated the time that we have adjourned, but they didn't indicate the time that we have started. And on the part of the select committee, in terms of issues that we were dealing with under security cluster, there's an indication that there's a matter of the judge that we're dealing with, or the magistrate, of which it tables that it was on the 17th June 2025, and I think they need to check on the date. It is not a reflection. We never had any meeting that has to do with that matter on that day. So that's it from my side, but I move for the adoption of the minutes with those omissions. Thank you.
Honorable Mananiso, with regard to the start time, you will see right at the top of the minutes, just above the present, it says Thursday, 5th June at 8:30. So the meeting commenced at 8:30. So that is indicated there. Then I will get some now with regard to the matter of the judge. But I'll first take the hand of Honorable Hadebe.
No, thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Good morning, everyone on the platform. I was just going to say that these minutes are the reflection of what transpired in that meeting. Thank you, sir. So I concur with Honorable Manani, so that they must be adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable House Chair Hadebe. Could we have a response, colleagues, with regard to the issue raised by Honorable Mananiso concerning the issue of the judge?
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Deputy Chairperson. The apology of the Chairperson has been formally recorded. Insofar as that matter, Deputy Chair, that is the report that we received from committees. We cannot do anything about it because that's the report that we received from the report of committees.
Thank you very much, Advocate Pendela, for your input on that matter. Honourable members and colleagues, if I can then move that at least the minutes have been moved by Honourable Mananiso as a true reflection, and it was seconded by Honourable Hadebe. So we will take that those minutes are in order. We'll then move on to item number 6 on the agenda, and that is the consideration of the draft parliamentary program. I'll hand over to our honourable member who will take us through the draft program. Honourable Malakome.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to honorable members in the platform. Deputy Chair, I think I have a problem with my camera. You'll pardon me. I tried to fix it, but technology. Honorable members, a blessed morning to you. I'm going to advocate and other colleagues in the platform and officials. I'm going to present the draft second term program to honorable members and Deputy Chair, just to indicate that there are some changes on the program itself, on the issues or meetings of the committees, and also this week's program, and I'm going to indicate where those changes were done, and also to indicate to members that we are going to deal with the policy debate, and the dates are also included on the program itself. I know that honorable members were asking about the dates, so we have received the confirmations from the honorable ministers. That is why today our program is having those dates. I'm going to start with today, which is Thursday, the 26th of June. We are having our program meeting now that will end at 10 o'clock, followed by the caucuses from 10 to 12:30. Then 1:15 until 1:30, there's provincial delegates meetings. Then the committees will sit from 12:30 until 4:00. I mean 5:30 in the evening. The multi-party women's caucus will meet at late at 6 to 8 o'clock in the evening. Next page. Tomorrow is Friday, the 27th of June. And we know that this the Fridays are for joint standing committees. The joint committees that has submitted their meetings from the previous program that we had is the Joint Committee on Constitutional Review, and also the Select Committee on Petition and Executive. They are added there on the program. So the meetings will start at 9 until 5 in the evening. The week of the 30th to the 4th of July, on Monday, the 30th of July, is Constituency Day, followed by the 1st of July.
Sorry,
I mean the 30th of June.
30th of June.
Yeah, June.
Yeah.
Sorry
okay,
for that.
continue. Okay.
the 30th of June, and the 1st of July is the committees will sit, and here, Chair, we have received the meeting of the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament, but this meeting will take place after the sittings of both houses, the NA and the NCOP. Then 2 o'clock, we are going to have a plenary to discuss budget vote 17, which is higher education. The 2nd of July, from 9:30 to 1 o'clock is multi-party women caucus steering committee meeting. 10 o'clock is the committees will meet from 10 until 1 o'clock, followed by the plenary to discuss vote 3, which is cooperative governance. The 3rd of July, from 10 to 12:30 is caucuses. 2 o'clock, the plenary will consider reports and also debate the vote 5 and also vote 40. Then the select committee on cooperative governance will have their meeting late from 5:30 until 7:30 in the evening. The 4th of July is for joint committees. We haven't received any indication that there will be a joint committee meeting on that day. The week of the 7th to the 11th of July, on Monday is constituency day. Tuesday, the 8th of July, from 8:30 to 9:45 is committee of chairpersons meeting. The committees will sit from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock, and here, Chair, we have received the indication there's an addition of the select committee on petition and executive, and also the joint standing committee on financial management, which will meet immediately after the sitting of 2 houses. And 2 o'clock we'll have plenary to consider reports if there are any, and legislations. And also there's policy debate on vote 16, which is basic education, and also vote 29, which is agriculture. The 9th of July, 8:30 to 9:45 is provincial whips forum, followed by the multi-party women caucuses from 9:30 to 1 o'clock. And also the committees will meet from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock. And then the addition there is of a select committee on security and justice. The plenary will meet at 2 o'clock, vote 10, which is electricity and energy, and vote 33, which is settlement. And if there are some reports, they will be considered, and if there's any legislation, Chair, it will be considered in the House on the same day. The 10th of July, from 8:30 to 10 is program committee meeting. 10 o'clock to 12:30 is caucuses. 1:45 until 1:30 is provincial delegates meeting. 2 o'clock is plenary to consider reports, and also the policy debate on vote 42, which is land reform and rural development. Vote 41, water and sanitation. On Friday, the 11th of July, the Joint Standing Committee on Defense is meeting at 9 to 12 o'clock. The Joint Constitutional Review Committee, they are also having the meeting on the very same time. The MSF, they are having their meeting from 9:30 until 1 o'clock. On the 14th of July is Constituency Day. The 15th of July, the select committees are meeting, and the addition there is of the select committee on petition and executive, which will meet at 10 to 1 o'clock, followed by the plenary at 2, and the following budget votes are going to be debated on that day. Vote 2, which is Parliament, and vote 37, which is Sport, Art and Culture. If there are any motions and reports, they will also be considered in the House. The 16th of July, 9:30 to 1 o'clock is multi-party women caucus meeting. 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock, the committees will sit, and the addition there, chair, deputy chair, is of Select Committee on Security and Justice. And most of these committees, if you can see, honorable members, they'll be receiving the briefings from various departments. That's why we are having more additions when coming to the meetings of the select committees. At 2 o'clock, the House will debate budget vote 19, which is social development, budget vote 13, which is public works and infrastructure. And if there's any legislation and considerations of reports, they'll be done on the same day. The 17th of July, at 2, we are going to have a plenary. This is the consideration of the Division of Revenue Bill, and also the following budget votes are going to be debated in the House, and budget vote 2, 3, and 4 will be one debate, honorable members. And budget 31, which is employment and labor, will also be debated in the House. The 18th of July is for joint standing committees, and here we only have one committee that will meet, which is the Committee on Defense. They will have their meeting from 9 to 12 o'clock. The week of the 21st to 25th of July, on Monday, is Constituency Day. The 22nd of July, there will be a meeting of Chairperson's Committee that will meet from 8:30 until 9:45, followed by the committees that will take place from 10 until 1. Then plenary will meet at 2 o'clock to discuss vote, to debate vote 18, which is health, vote 38, which is tourism. The 23rd of July, 8:30 until 9:45, is Provincial Whips Forum, followed by the Select Committee meetings. And the addition is of the 3 select the committees that will meet from 10 to 1. The Committee on Economic Development, Public Infrastructure, and also the Security and Justice Committee. Then on this day, Deputy Chair, we have plenary that is set aside at 2 o'clock, but here we haven't received any indication that there will be any minister who's available, but if there's such, will indicate to honorable members. On the 24th of July, at 8:30 to 10 o'clock is Program Committee meeting. The caucuses will meet at 10 to 12:30. 1:45 to 1:30 is Provincial Delegates meeting, followed by plenary to discuss budget vote 39, which is trade, industry and competition. The policy debate on budget vote 36, which is small business development. And if there are any reports, they will be considered in the House on the same day. The Committee of Cooperative Governance will have their meeting late at 5:30 until 7:30 in the evening. The 25th of July is Friday, and here we have received the joint the meeting of the Finance and Management of Parliament, which will take place from 8:30 to 1, and also multi-party women caucus meeting from 9:30 to 1 o'clock. The other indication that the Select Committee on Agriculture, Land Reform and Mineral Resource, they'll have their meeting from 10 to 1 o'clock. And the Joint Standing Committee on Defense, they'll continue to have their meeting. And this was included in the previous program meeting. The 28th of July is Constituency Day. 29th of July, the committees will continue to have their meeting, but the addition there is that of a Select Committee on Public Infrastructure that will take place also from 10 to 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock, there is plenary set aside there, which doesn't have the indication of the departments that will be in the House. The 30th of July is Wednesday. Then at 9 o'clock, we'll have the plenary, and that will consider reports if there are any, and consideration of the appropriation bill at 9 o'clock. This plenary, I think this is the last plenary of the second term program. And lastly, Deputy Chair, the Select Committee on Petition and Executive Undertakings will have their meeting from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And this is the addition of the committee meetings that we have received. On Friday, we don't have anything, which is the 1st of August. Then the NCOP constituency period will start on the 4th of August to the 1st of September. Deputy Chair, this is the second term parliamentary program that I'm presenting to honorable members for consideration. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Molokome. As always, your reports are very detailed and precise. I want to thank you for that and for taking us through that. Just apart from those few days, I think it was 2 or 3 days where there were dates set aside, but departments have not indicated. I think the rest of the report is well presented, but I'll open it up to colleagues if there are any comments on the second term report as presented by the Honorable Molokome. I see the hand of Honorable Hadebe.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. On this program, I think that as you correctly characterize it, that it is detailed. But what I like to sponsor here in this program is that the PGIR decided the other week when it was meeting that both houses must ratify the SADC protocol. And then the meetings have been held, that one of the Select Committee on Security and Justice and the Portfolio Committee on International Relations on the side of the NA. So it was decided that those reports must be adopted by tomorrow. I really like a situation whereby the Select Committee on Justice and Security arrange a meeting by tomorrow so that they meet together with the Portfolio Committee on International Relations and adopt the report which was accepted by both committees, so that that report can be tabled in the House. Because I think that on the side of Parliament, we have missed some deadlines. So it's critical that by the time the SADC Heads of State Summit meet in August, we should have dealt with those reports ourselves. So it will be ideal that tomorrow they can meet, the Select Committee and Portfolio Committee, adopt the report, and then we schedule them in the House. I see that on the 9th, the 2nd and the 9th, there are space for reports. If they have done that by tomorrow, then it can be slotted in those 2 slots. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Adeba. The point that you are making is very, very important. We should be careful not to be skipping dates and deadlines. So the issue of the PGIR meeting to ratify the SADC protocol is very important. Are there any members from that Select Committee that is on the platform that will be able to give an indication as to whether they can meet tomorrow? I see the hand of Honorable Ryder.
Yeah, good morning, Deputy Chair. Thank you very much. I just want to say that we haven't received a request to convene that meeting through my office, or to ensure that it's slotted in. Yeah, I think noting what's on the schedule for tomorrow, there shouldn't be a clash as long as it's a virtual meeting, but that's obviously dependent on the availability of the members. Yeah, I just want to warn against using this programming committee as a backdoor system of getting meetings on the agenda. We must follow the due process, but as soon as we get that request, we will treat it with urgency. Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ryder. I think you do understand the urgency of this matter, especially, and I will seek your cooperation so that we can have that meeting tomorrow, even if it's a virtual meeting, just to ratify that report so that it can then be presented and adopted. I recognize the hands of Honorable Billy, Honorable Nkosi Nkonyana, and Honorable Mananiso in that order, starting with Honorable Billy.
No, Chair, I will allow the chairperson of the committee to give an input, but the committee does have a commitment tomorrow, but I'll allow the chairperson since she's got her head up.
Okay, Nkosi Nkonyana.
Chair and honorable members, good morning. I wish to align myself with Honorable Billy as the whip of the committee. Let me then give the chair and indicate that I would support then the proposal for a virtual meeting tomorrow sometime. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkosi Nkonyana. That's very good cooperation amongst members of the Select Committee. Honorable Mananiso.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. As agreed, we would lately communicate in terms of the finalization with the PC of the NA with regard to time, but we would indeed meet virtual and adopt the report because we are attending to the legislature issue tomorrow in the morning. But we'll make sure that by tomorrow we are adopting this particular report of SADC protocol. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mananiso. As chair of that Select Committee, we leave it in your good hands. Honorable Adeba, I think that sets your mind at ease that we have a commitment from the... All right, we then move on. Any other matters with regard to the report that was presented? I don't see any other hands, so we'll move on to item 7, which is report on the Select Committee on Business and report of the legislation before Select Committees.
Deputy Chair, sorry, before we move on, I'd like to move for the adoption of the program as presented.
Oh, yes, sorry about that. Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Ryder, for moving the adoption of the program. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Badenhorst. All right, let's move on to item 7, and then that is the report of legislation. Who's taking us through that? Is the advocate taking us through that?
Chair, is it not the matters before committee?
Good morning, Honorable Chair. I thought maybe it will be the report on committees first.
Yes, I called for somebody from the select committees, but I didn't see any hand. So that's why I moved on to the report on legislation. We can come back to the select committee.
Deputy Chairperson, it would be Honorable Ryder.
Honorable Ryder. Oh, okay. I didn't see your hand, Honorable Ryder. Okay. Do you want to go ahead with that, with the select committee report?
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. I will take us quickly through. The report is getting longer as the work before committees increases in line with the program, and we'll move through quite quickly. There are 5 segments to our report. Firstly, dealing with the budget related interventions, other matters, and then finally committee reports that are awaiting tabling for plenary. So let's move on to the very next slide, and we can start with the bills before Parliament. There are I beg your pardon. There's one Section 75 bill before committees. There are 5 Section 76 bills, 3 interventions, 2 petitions, 1 forensic investigation, 3 reports on the suspensions of magistrates, a letter from the Public Protector on the investigation to allegations of improper conduct and maladministration at the hospital, which is a new item, and then 2 executive undertakings. So if we can move on to the first of the bills, that's matter before the Appropriations Committee, the Division of Revenue. The committee is seized with the processing of this and has had a number of meetings already on the matter.
NetBank session will time out in 1 minute.
I beg your pardon. Sorry. So the committee has sat twice this week already with our consultations. Provinces will be briefed on the Division of Revenue Bill over the week from the 1st to the 4th of July. And then on the 9th of July, the negotiating mandates will be considered. Treasury will then respond, and by the 16th of July, we anticipate having the final mandates before the committee. That will then bring us to conclusion for the processing of the bill, and the House will be considering the bill on the 17th of July. So let's move on to the next slide then, please. The appropriation bill, again, a bill that's before the committee already. That normally referred to our House when it's adopted in the National Assembly on the 23rd of July. Processing has, however, begun through the committee. We've had consultations with the FFC, also with the PBO, and we've had public hearings. The draft report will be considered on the 29th of July. This is a Section 77 bill, so the next step that we consider the draft report, and then that draft report will be brought to the House as indicated by the programming whip on the 30th of July. The next matter before the committees is the Eskom Debt Relief Amendment Bill. This, similarly to the previous bill, will be referred to our House on the 22nd of July when the National Assembly adopts the bill. Again, we've already been with processing through the committee. The draft report will be considered on the 29th of July. We anticipate adoption on that date, which will conclude the business. And similarly, it'll come before the House on the 30th of July at that last sitting. The Public Sector Pension and Related Payments Bill, also one of the budget instruments that has been introduced this year, it will be referred to the House. Sorry, I beg your pardon. It was referred to the House on 24th. The National Assembly adopted the bill earlier on this week. We had public hearings on the bill yesterday, and consideration of the draft report will happen on the 16th of July. Let me turn off my video if I'm breaking up, and that will be considered in the House on the 17th of July. Good. The next item is the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. This has already served before our House. It was considered and passed on the 11th of June. Let's move on. The Marine Oil Pollution Preparedness Bill. This is a bill that's before the Select Committee on Public Infrastructure and the Minister and the Presidency. This bill is currently being processed through the committee, bringing work done to provinces. The negotiating mandates were considered. There has been some amendments proposed, so there was a C list that was also considered. The final mandates from the provinces are expected during the course of next week. So the final mandates will be received on the 1st of July, and then that will bring the committee's work to conclusion, and will come before the House straight after that. Just as an indication on the next slide of the timeframes, there was a request from the committee to extend the allowed time for the processing of the bill because of the fact that it's a legacy bill that had to be revived in the 7th Parliament. That extension was granted, so we are still within the time, and especially considering that the committee will be concluding this bill next week. The next bill before committees, again, also before the Select Committee on Public Infrastructure. This is the Economic Regulation of Transport Amendment Bill. It was referred to the House on the 23rd of May, 2025. The committee will begin processing the bill in the 3rd term. That's a very short term, so the committee will begin the processing then. It's a public, and to finish the processing of the bill during the 4th term of this year, so before the end of the year, and we will obviously finalize a date for consideration by the House once that process has become more clear in terms of the time needed for the committee to do their work. If we consider the next slide, we are well within the time frame. The
Honourable Rider, if I may interrupt you, I see the hand of the Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable Chief Whip, is there something you want to say at this point?
This is an old hand, Honourable Chair.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry, Honourable Rider, you may continue.
Thank you very much. Yes, so we are well within the time frame for the processing of this bill. We have until the 10th of October 2026 next year, but we fully intend to finish the bill during the course of 2025. The next bill is before the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Public Administration. It's a Public Administration Management Amendment Bill. It's a Section 76 bill. The committee has placed adverts on parliamentary websites, social media, and also shared with members to distribute to their constituencies and offices. We do encourage that these members embrace that to ensure that our public participation processes are credible and thorough. The deadline for written submissions is 4 days hence on the 30th of June. And written submissions will then be followed by oral hearings, which has been requested by stakeholders. The committee is still processing this bill and will aim to finish before the end of the year, for term of 2025. Once again, in terms of the timeframes, the expiry of time allowed for the processing of the bill is the 4th of November 2025. So there is a little pressure on that committee to ensure that they complete their processes early in the 4th term to ensure that we can bring the bill before the House. The next bill is the Public Service Amendment Bill, also a Section 76 bill before the Select Administration. In a similar fashion, the committee has again advertised for public written submissions, and that will be followed by oral hearings. Again, intending to finish the processing of the bill in the 4th term before the end of the year. And if you look at the next slide, you'll see that we have until the 18th of November to finish our work on the processing of this bill. The Public Service Commission bill, also before the NCOP committee. It was referred to the House on the 18th of March of this year. The bill is being processed in a similar fashion. Also, will be aiming to finish before the end of the year. So the 4th term has been detailed there as the time that we aim to finish. The time to process, so there's less urgency, but no less focus. And we have until the 12th of April to finish processing that bill. In terms of the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill, Section 76 Bill, before the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance again, the committee has placed its adverts out, waiting for the public submissions, which will be submitted by the 30th of June again, and that will then be followed by oral submissions. Again, aiming to finish this before the end of the year. So additional pressure. Similarly, this was a bill that was revived in the 7th Parliament, and the committee has written to the necessary authority and received permission from the chair of the NCOP for within their timeframes on that, but aiming to finish, as I said, before the end of this calendar year. The next matter before us is written notice in terms of Section 1395. It relates to Theovitus Kloof. The current status is that there has been an oversight visit to the local municipality. There will then the committee intends finishing the process by the term, and noting that's a very short term. I presume then once they've done their committee work in that term, that will be considered by the House soon thereafter, I presume right at the beginning of the 4th term. The written statement issued in terms of Section 106 for Maribeng is also before the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance. Similarly, the oversight plus the committee is busy processing the report and will finish that in the 4th term of the year. And the programming for that is already in draft form. The next item is a forensic investigation, again, in terms of Section 106. This one relates to the Bitu local municipality. The report again scheduled for the 3rd term and aiming to finish this early in the 4th term of 2025. The next matter is one of the petitions. This petition was referred directly to the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Public Administration. In terms of instructions from the chair, in terms of the rules, the rules of the NCOP, the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance has written a memorandum with all of the details on the processing of the petition to date, and referred the matter to the Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings. So that then informs the very next slide, which details the fact that the Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings has adopted the memorandum and will be processing that petition in due course. This is a long outstanding petition, and the urgency has been impressed upon the Select Committee on Petitions, and they would aim to finish that as soon as possible. We haven't got the final program from them yet in terms of that, but yes, having received that will be slotting it into their program and treating it with the required urgency. The next slide relates to another petition. This is the petition calling for the amendment of Intellectual Property Laws Amendment Act. The committee has concluded their work, and there is a report waiting to be considered by the House. More detail on that on our very last slide, slide number 30. A new petition. That is a petition requesting assistance of the NCOP in relation to the alleged disregard of mining regulatory framework in Magog village, which is in Umzumbe. That mining is being undertaken by a lithium mining company, and the petition was received from Mr. Koliswa Sitole. That the House on the 29th of May. There is a briefing planned for the 31st of July by the committee, and this petition will be dealt to conclusion by the fourth term of 2025. Chair, then there are three matters before the Select Committee on Security and Justice, each relating to magistrates. The first one is the suspension of a magistrate. The second one is suspension on the grounds of misconduct by a Ms. Kakana from the Secunda Magistrate's Office. And the third one is a new report relating to the suspension and or removal of office on account of continued ill health of Magistrate Ms. Nordia, who is an additional magistrate in Kimberley. These are being dealt with separately. So the first matter was referred on the 1st of April 2025. The committee intends completing their work or has completed their work on the 28th of May. The report was ATC'd on the 2nd of June and is due to come before the House. Again, that will be discussed in the last slide. The second matter, the committee is processing their reports and July, whereafter it will be ATC'd and brought to the House. And the third matter will be dealt with similarly, aiming to finish on the 23rd of July. Deputy Chair, the Select Committee on Social Services has received a letter from the Public Protector. It relates to an own initiative investigation by the Public Protector into allegations of improper conduct and maladministration at Dora Mpiza Regional Hospital. This letter was referred to the House on the 6th of June and will be programmed in the program of the Select Committee as soon as possible. The Select Committee intends dealing with this letter during the fourth term before the end of this financial year. Deputy Chair, just in line with a request from the chairperson of the NCOP, the report awaiting processing before the House was asked to be highlighted. We thought the best way to just present this is using the order paper of yesterday. And so if one considers below the line items there, you will see that there is listed under further business on the order paper. There are 8 reports which have been ATC'd and the 8 reports are awaiting programming. Attention is drawn of all of the members to the fact that there's a report from the Joint Standing Committee on Defence. That's reports on the midterm strategic review of the South African National Defence Force. The Select Committee on Economic Development and Trade has also ATC'd a report on that petition that I referred to earlier. There is a report from the Committee on Public Infrastructure, the presidency, on the oversight visit to the PRASA station modernisation and rail corridor revitalisation project. The fourth item is a report from the Social Services Committee. It's an oversight to Gauteng that they're reporting on. The fifth report is from Select Committee on Education, Science and Creative Industries. This follows the resolutions of the NCOP and there's a report relating to that. The sixth report is Security and Justice. It is that report detailed earlier on the confirmation of suspension of Magistrate Govender. The seventh report is the Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings report on executive undertakings made by the Minister of Water and Sanitation during a House sitting. And the final report is a newly introduced report, recently ATC'd on, and that relates to the National Gambling Amendment Bill, which the Mediation Committee has submitted their report on. So members should be aware these reports will be scheduled in the program in the coming dates, and those hoping to make their declarations and give inputs into that will be given the opportunity to start preparing themselves in the interim. Deputy Chair, that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair Ryder. That was a very comprehensive report. And yes, you were right when you said at the beginning that the report is getting longer, and that it certainly has. I think my main concern would be that some of these bills go back to 2020 and some of the petitions go back to 2022. But I'm happy to see that you have target dates, which I'm sure you'll be able to achieve, and that will give confidence to the people out there that we are serious in the NCOP in terms of giving them feedback and ensuring that their petitions especially are taken seriously. Having said that, honorable members, are there any comments with regard to the report that was presented by Honorable Ryder? I don't see any hands. Can we then adopt this report? Honorable Breed.
Chair, I move that we adopt this report. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Breed. Could I have a seconder, please?
Chairperson, I support the adoption of the report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Adebe, House Chair. All right, we take it that the report has been accepted in this meeting. We then move on to the report of the legislation before us.
Good morning, Honorable Deputy Chair. Good morning, Honorable members. My name is Tobile from the Bills Office. Honorable Deputy Chair, today we will give two reports from the Constitutional and Legal Services Office. So the first report will be the report on bills before Parliament, which is the one that we usually give in this committee. And with your permission, Honorable Deputy Chair, the second report will be presented by Ms. Daksha Kasan, which is a report on Constitutional Court judgments and Constitutional Court deadlines. So it will follow immediately after my report. So my report will start from slide number 2. On slide number 2 and 3, let's go to slide number 3. On slide number 3, we're just giving the committee information on bills that will be coming to the NCOP in the next few weeks. So the first one is the appropriation bill. Honorable members, we will note that this bill was referred to the Standing Committee on Appropriation following the adoption of the fiscal framework and the revenue proposal by both houses, which is the NA and the NCOP. So this bill was also classified, and the classification was published in the ATC of the 19th of June. So the bill will be transferred to the Select Committee on Appropriations on the 23rd of July after the NA has passed the bill. So the second one, which is on slide number 5, before the Standing Committee on Appropriations, this committee has already reported on the Division of Revenue Bill, which is B15 of 2025, and the report was published again in the ATC of the 23rd of June. In consequence, the bill is now on the NA order paper for consideration by the House today. So it will be transmitted to the NCOP today. We move to the next reporting slide, which is slide number 4. On slide number 4, Honorable Deputy Chair, we reporting on the private members bill that has been introduced, and it's before the Justice Committee at the NA. So we're giving this committee information that the Remuneration of Public Office Bearers Amendment Bill, B17 of 2025, it has been introduced and ATC'd on the 12th of June, 2025. This is a private members bill that has been introduced by Honorable Besley. On slide number 6, we're reporting on the Public Sector Pension and Related Payments Bill, B3 of 2025, which is now before the NCOP Select Committee, following the second reading and adoption of the bill by the NA on the 24th of June. The next reporting slide is slide number 7. On slide number 7, we're reporting on bills that are on the NCOP order paper for consideration. The National Gambling Amendment Bill, which is Bill B27B of 2018, a Section 76 bill, is on the NA order paper for consideration by the House, and the new version of the bill that will be considered is B27D of 2018, following the report of the Mediation Committee, which was published in the ATC on the 13th of June. The last reporting slide is slide number 8. On slide number 8, Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Chairperson, we're reporting on the 2 draft bills that are before Parliament, namely the International Cooperation in Criminal Matters Amendment Bill. This is an executive bill, and it's one of the priority bills that have been listed in the draft program for bills that are supposed to be adopted by Parliament in 2025. And the second bill, which is not on this report, but we are reporting because we've received it yesterday, very late, is the insourcing bill. This is a private members bill. Both these bills were certified, and the intention for introduction was also published in the ATC yesterday night. So the Bills Office is currently processing these 2 bills to be introduced as soon as possible. As per our request, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, I will hand over to my colleague, Ms. Daksha, to continue with the report on Constitutional Court deadlines. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mbata, for that report. Okay, we'll hand over to your colleague, Ms. Daksha Hassan.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Deputy Chairperson, honourable members and colleagues. As Ms. Mbata introduced me, I'm Daksha Hassan. I'm also from the Constitution and Legal Services Office. And I'll be going through the presentation on the Constitutional Court judgments in which Parliament was called upon to correct defects in certain legislation. Deputy Chair, we've also circulated a comprehensive report detailing each of these judgments, and that report should also then be considered together with this presentation that I'm about to make. At the forefront, I also just wish to say that given that this is the first time that this presentation is being made to this committee, it will be a bit long, but going forward, what we will then do is only then present on matters where there has been progress in respect of addressing the Constitutional Court judgment by way of introduction, by way of drafting of the necessary bills as well as introduction. Now, before I go into the details of the report, if we can move on to the next slide, Mr. Michaels. I'd just like to explain that one of the functions of our office is for us to consider any defects or gaps identified by the Constitutional Court in existing law, and then to advise the relevant portfolio committees thereon, as well as the implications thereon. So often when the Constitutional Court finds sections of an act invalid and unconstitutional, the Constitutional Court makes an order calling on Parliament to correct the defect in the Act by a certain date. The nature of these orders often is that the order of unconstitutionality of the impugned section in the Act is suspended for a period of time in order to allow Parliament to cure the defect in the legislation. Now, the nature of the order also varies from case to case. I'm not sure if the presentation is being aired. I don't see it on. May I
Presentation
continue?
is not being aired, Ms.
Mr.
Kassan,
Mike.
but it has been emailed to all honourable members. So I'm sure that they have copies on their gadgets. But if it can be flighted, I'll appreciate that.
Mr. Michaels is assisting me with that, but I'll nevertheless continue, Deputy Chair. So
Yes,
as I said, the nature of the order often varies. Sometimes the Constitutional Court may provide a read-in measure into the Act or provide an interim remedy that would apply during the suspension period as well as after the lapsing of the suspension period, thereby leaving no gap in the law should Parliament not pass corrective legislation by the date indicated in the judgment. In other instances, the court may provide a reading into the Act or a remedy that would apply only during the suspension period, thereby leaving a gap in the law should Parliament not pass corrective legislation by the deadline. Now, during the fifth Parliament, our office was called upon by the National Assembly Programming Committee to provide reports on these judgments and to also indicate what the implications of the judgments were. The purpose of the report, therefore, is to inform the programming committees of the relevant Constitutional Court judgments where there is an order affecting Parliament to cure the constitutional defect in legislation, and to inform the programming committees of the date by which it should be corrected. Another purpose of the report is to ensure that the programming committees are made aware of any progress that have been made by the executive in drafting and then introducing corrective legislation to address these judgments. And then also to be made aware of the urgent legislation that will be introduced in order to assist with the program of the House and its committees to ensure such corrective legislation is passed timeously. So as I said before, Deputy Chair, going forward, this presentation will be a lot more shorter and will then only focus on matters where there has been progress that has been made. Now, the report that has been circulated, Mr. Michaels, if you can go to slide 4. Thank you. The report that has been circulated covers 4 categories of Constitutional Court judgments. Category A concerns cases where the court order is still suspended. In other words, the date by which corrective legislation is to be passed is yet to come. And once the suspension order lapses, there will not be a measure or remedy in place. This means that should there not be corrective legislation in place, there will be a gap in the law. The report then covers 5 of these judgments which fall within this category, which judgments then affect 6 pieces of legislation. Category B then deals with cases where the court order is still suspended. In other words, the date by which corrective legislation is to be passed is yet to come. And once the suspension order lapses, there will be a remedy in place or a read-in in the Act in place that will apply. There will therefore not be a gap in the law if the legislation is not corrected or passed in time. Again, there are 5 CC judgments in respect of this category, and those judgments affect 5 pieces of legislation. Category C then deals with judgments where the suspension order has come and gone. In other words, the date by which the defect had to be corrected has already passed, and there is no measure or remedy in place. There is therefore a gap in the law. Category D then deals with cases where the suspension order has lapsed, but a measure or remedy was provided, and this remedy would then apply after the lapsing of the order. There is therefore no gap in the law, and we have 3 constitutional court judgments under this category, which affects 4 pieces of legislation. Next slide, Mr. Michael. Chair, Deputy Chair, what follows on the next couple of slides is then a very, very brief summary of each of these judgments, the date by which corrective legislation needs to be passed, and progress that's being made. So on this slide, we deal with the category A cases. These are the cases where the court order is still suspended, and when the court order lapses, there will be a gap in the law. So in other words, these are the ones that Parliament really needs to concentrate on, because should the deadline or the suspension date come and no legislation is in place, this will leave a gap in the law. So with regard to the first case, the progress here is that our office has sent an opinion to the relevant portfolio committee and are currently liaising with the portfolio committee on this matter, and the suspension date or the date by which corrective legislation needs to be enacted is the 19th of December 2026. With regard to the second matter, there is a private member's bill that is currently before the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, which addresses this issue. You will note that there was no suspension date or invalidity order in this particular judgment, and that was because at the time Parliament was already considering the Electoral Commission Amendment Bill. With regard to the third matter, the latest progress on this matter is that the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has published the intention to introduce the Draft General Family Laws Amendment Bill of 2025, and this was published on 6th of June 2025, and we are currently awaiting introduction of that particular bill. With the fourth matter, in this matter, the Constitutional Court has granted an extension of the original deadline date, and so the date by which corrective legislation needs to be passed in this matter is now the 29th of May 2027. With regard to the last matter on this slide, the deadline date or the suspension date of the order is the 27th of June next year, but currently the marriages bill is being deliberated upon in the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, and that particular bill addresses this judgment. The next slide, Mr. Michaels. Category B cases are the ones where there is a court order that is still suspended, but should that order lapse, there will not be a gap in the law. Again, there are 5 matters. Chair, I'm not going to go into much detail on these matters because should the suspension date come, there will not be a gap in the law, and as the remedy will continue to apply after that. And then in the last column, I briefly summarize the latest update on each of these matters. And the detail of this is also contained in the report that has been circulated. Next slide, Mr. Michaels. Deputy Chair, with regard to category C, this is where the suspension order has lapsed and there is no measure in place. There is currently a gap in the law. As you will see, the suspension of this order lapsed on the 3rd of February 2024. So the read-in that was provided by the Constitutional Court in this matter fell away, but currently there was a bill that was actually passed, but this bill was then sent back by the President to the Portfolio Committee on Justice in terms of the Section 79 referral. And currently the President has approached the court in order to provide for the reading that has lapsed to continue to apply until such time that this bill has been enacted. And finally, on the last slide, Chairperson, these are category D matters where the suspension date has lapsed, but there is no gap in the law. But in each of these matters, the progress report is for example, with the first issue, there is a draft bill that has been drafted by the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, and they're currently undertaking consultations on the text of the bill, and the bill then will soon be introduced. With regard to the second matter, that matter, the Immigration Amendment Bill was introduced into Parliament last year, and that bill is currently before the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. And with regard to the last matter, the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill, which addresses this judgment, is also currently before the Portfolio Committee on Justice. And that, Deputy Chairperson, concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kassan. I think that was the first time, honorable members, that we received such a report, and quite detailed at that, I must say. And thank you very much once more for that. I think it gives us a clear indication as to where we stand with regard to these various constitutional court judgments. Now, I'm not a legal person, and excuse me if my question might seem petty, but what happens in the case when there is a gap in the law? Does it go back to the law as it stands, or is there a gap that can be exploited? Just a question from my side before I take other hands. Ms. Kassan?
Chairperson, when there's a gap and there has been no remedy or no read-in, then no, the law does not go towards to what it was before. For example, if the court has said Section 1 of a particular act is unconstitutional, when the suspended order lapses and there has been no read-in, that particular section falls off the statute book. And if we have not enacted any legislation, then there will be a gap in the law. That is why in most of those instances, when we do foresee that Parliament will not be meeting the deadline in order to pass legislation by such a date, and there will be a gap, we often approach the court for an extension of that deadline, the effect of which will then be that that particular section remains on the statute book and then only falls away once we have corrected the legislation and enacted legislation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that explanation. That sets my mind at ease. I see the end of Honorable Chief Whip Moimang.
Thank you, Chairperson of the meeting, Honorable Deputy Chair. Just one clarifying question from my side. Let me first appreciate the report from the presenter. My question relates to the matter that relates to the RICA emanating from Amabungani judgment. It was said that the president has approached the court in relation to this matter. The question that I want to ask is, when did the president approach the court, and when is it envisaged that the court will be able to hear the matter, particularly given the importance of this judgment and the implication of the referral of the RICA Act back to Parliament, because it paralyzes number of crime-fighting institutions because of the failure for the bill to be assented to. Thank you, Chair.
Now, thank you, Honorable Moimang, for those clarity-seeking questions. Kassan, will you be able to respond to those, please?
Yes, Deputy Chair, I'll try my best. Deputy Chairperson, I only have the info available to me, but another colleague of mine is dealing with this matter, and I can get the details for the next meeting if needed. I'm not too sure as to when exactly the president approached the court, but according to the reports given to me, pleadings are also still being filed by other parties, and the direction from the court is awaited. So I can't answer as to when the court will be hearing this matter, but I can get those details for the next meeting. And the implications of the president sending the RICA bill back, he has done so in terms of Section 79 of the Constitution. I'm also not too clear on what the exact details of the referral was, but I can also get those for you for the next meeting. I'm sorry I can't be of more assistance right now.
Thank you, Ms. Kassan. Now, I understand that the information sought by Honorable Moimang is a bit detailed with regard to dates that are required and timeframes, which you might not have in your possession right now. But Honorable Moimang, if it is urgent that you require this information, we can then ask if Ms. Kassan can avail that to you directly instead of waiting for the next meeting of this committee. But if you are comfortable with waiting until the next meeting, then we will leave it as suggested by Ms. Kassan. Honorable Moimang, are you okay with that?
No, I'm okay. It will be important to get those details, Chair, before the end of the meeting. So I'm comfortable that the colleague can look for that information and then provide it to myself. Thank you.
Deputy Chair, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kassan. Yeah, if you can liaise directly with the Chief Whip. Thank you. Are there any other comments on that report, honorable colleagues? I don't see any hands. Can we adopt this report? Could I have a mover for the report?
I move for the adoption of the report, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. A seconder, please. Honorable
Chair,
Briat.
I will second that.
Thank you,
I
Honorable.
second the report.
Thank you very much. So the report has been adopted. Thank you once again, Ms. Kassan, and we look forward to interacting with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Chair.
All right, honorable colleagues, the next item I see is a report on Parliament's legislative program. Who will take us through that?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. The report on legislative program is the one that we reported on bills before Parliament.
Okay. I was wondering why it was repeated on the agenda. So you have tabled that already, Ms. Mbata. Thank you very much. Honorable colleagues and all the officials on the platform, there being no further matters, I now declare the meeting closed, and thank you all very much once again. And I wish you all the best for this rainy day in Cape Town, and do have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
You too, Chair.
Well,
Thank you
thanks,
so
Deputy
much.
Chair.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, my security.